The following program is an MLWRadio.com production. Matt Media Productions.
You remembered them fondly, and then they were gone. And now you want to know.
Yo, 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 yo! Pop a 40 and check your rollies. It's crime time.
Who, what, where, when, why. Why It Ended with Robbie E. and Matt Koon.
All right, we're here. It is Wednesday again. Hashtag Why It Ended Wednesday. And we are coming off last week's awesome episode. Hey, what's up, guys? Okay, so we are here. It is hashtag Why It Ended Wednesday. Another Wednesday. These weeks go by so quick. We're back. I'm sure you guys are super excited when we were off.
All right. Go ahead. Let's do that again.
Yo, guys, we are back. Hey, what is so... You know, this is the third attempt me and Matt are trying to do this, but we're going to get it right. We're here. It's hashtag Why It Ended Wednesday. Another Wednesday. These weeks go by so quick, and we are fresh off last week's episode. These weeks go by so quick with... it was PCO last week, and his episode... The feedback we're getting is his story is unbelievable. From career years ago, away for a while, and now career again.
Yeah, it's amazing what he's doing. I see GIFs and memes of him all the time and promotions of what he's doing. It's really crazy what he's up to. And I think we got a ton of backstory and a ton of information on why it evidently didn't end, but it seemed to end. Lots of great feedback. And also, Robbie, I was listening to a podcast called PW Podcast, which reviews podcasts, and they really loved our Air Paris interview. And what they said was that they enjoyed you because you weren't doing your dumb gimmick, that you were asking great questions. And I got news for them. It's not a gimmick. It's not, you know.
Me being dumb? Yeah. Wait, by saying stupid. Listen, I am myself on this thing 24/7. If believe me, if any of the questions I asked that most people would know the answers to, I mean, come to my house for a day and talk to my wife, or talk to my toddler twins even, or my 5-pound Chihuahua puppy, and they will all tell you this is who I am. Trust me.
What's the Chihuahua's name again? I forgot.
Prancer. Come on, man. You're my co-host. Even though we never met, we're like family. You're supposed to know this. But guys, I want to talk about something real quick that's a little serious. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I'm in a group chat text called ZNA with we've been in for years. It's myself, Zima, Spud, EC3, Eddie Edwards, and my good buddy Trevor Lee. And his father just passed away. He's a former wrestler. He was a promoter, and they got a GoFundMe going on for the funeral. And you could get all the information on Trevor Lee's Twitter, and just go to it, donate, help out. It's for a great cause and someone who helped the pro wrestling world a lot.
Absolutely. And this is a guy who is involved in pro wrestling, a sudden tragedy that happened, and we all know how these expenses can be. So if you can spare a little bit, go to Trevor Lee's Twitter page, and the GoFundMe link is pinned to the top, and you can donate and kind of help ease things just a little bit in this hard time.
Yeah, and shoot him a tweet. Let him know you heard about it on this show, and that you're feeling for him. He's a really good dude. And then also, I wanted to say, I know I keep bringing up every week Overdrive Pro Wrestling, based out of Nashville, Tennessee. But October 13th, it's still far away, but their next show, I just want to leak a little bit of information, especially for you guys who live locally in Nashville. They do have some announcements and some signed wrestlers to be there, and I can't say who, but it is they got one guy signed, and it's a member of the Bullet Club.
Wow, that sounds great. I might have to drive down there to see that myself. My son.
I was just gonna say, I think you should.
My son owns every bit of Bullet Club merchandise ever, and that's October 13th.
October 13th. Do you wear Bullet Club stuff too? Like, do you have Bullet Club underwear, Matt?
No, actually, I'm the fat guy that does not wear wrestling shirts at wrestling shows. I can't be that guy.
Got it. I'm surprised. I would have thought I bet at one time you were that guy.
I just can't fit in. I can't be that guy. I got to wear a collar, at least something a little bit different.
Well, if there's one wrestling shirt you should wear, or at least that you probably did a few years ago, it might have been a shirt of our guest today. Did you see how I just did that? How I segued it in? Am I getting better?
Yeah, that was fantastic. I can't even believe that just happened. And right? Of course, we're talking about JTG. And I only say that because that's the way he says it. But JTG's got a fascinating story. They were shot to the top right away with the tag team of Crime Time. and really, kind of a star that burned brightly and kind of burned out and left, and always want to know what happened to him.
Yeah, and today we're going to find out. Crime Time was in and out of WWE on 2 different occasions, so I'm curious to see the story behind that and just to see what he's up to now.
Yeah, and make sure, guys, check us out on YouTube at WhyItEnded.com. If you want to hear us, at WhyItEnded. Make sure to check out our Patreon page. We're going to start doing shout-outs next week at patreon.com/WhyItEnded. And also, check us out on Twitter at WhyItEnded, and Robbie at Robbie Impact, and myself at Matt Koon Music. But right now, are you ready, Robbie?
It is Why It Ended with JTG. I tried to do your voice. I didn't do it good.
JTG coming up
next.
All right, guys. You know him as JTG. He was, of course, part of Crime Time with WWE for several years. Hey, JTG, thanks for joining us today, man. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. But you called that an introduction. You got JTG on the show. Yo, it's your boy JTG, former WWE superstar, one half of the famous, most notorious tag team in sports entertainment, Crime Time. JTG's in the building. Holla at me.
Hey, you know what? See, bro, that was a perfect introduction for yourself, and Matt ruined it, and you're not the first intro that he's ruined, man. He does this all the time.
Okay.
He screws it up for all the guests, so now he's already said bad vibes. You probably already want to leave this podcast. See, Matt, what you do?
Nah. I heard good things about this podcast, so I'm here to stay.
Hey, well, bro, I seen this afternoon. I had filmed something, a local wrestling show by my house, and I saw James Ellsworth, and he said he was just with you last week, and he said you both might have ate some bad food or something, and you've been feeling sick or what?
Oh yeah, man. I don't know what he had sushi. I don't know what he was thinking.
You don't have sushi
in Dominican Republic.
Bro.
Yeah, like don't eat the sushi over there. And then I had what did I have? I think I had too much pina coladas, and I was kind of those ice cubes did a number on me. I'm gonna blame the ice cubes because I don't know what else. I drank bottled water. I was watching what I was eating. I don't know, maybe the fruit juices, I guess. But yeah, when we came back, we're both still recovering.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. He said he thought he was done with it, and then last night he was at his girl's house and something happened again, and he was in the bathroom all night. But
yeah.
I mean, hey, everybody, I've gotten that from Dominican Republic too. It's all good. You get past it. Hey man, so listen, I know I met you years ago when I first started wrestling. I was doing extra work a bunch of times. I know I'd seen you before, but I always wonder because you were in OVW with one of my good buddies. Do you remember Damian Adams?
Damian Adams, yes I do.
He was in OVW with you.
Yeah, Damian Adams, Hispanic, right?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I know who Damian. Yes, okay.
Well, I always remember how he talked about you and said you were good and stuff. And it was wrestling something you always wanted to do? Like, did you like it when you were younger?
Oh, I grew up watching wrestling. My parents were both wrestling fans. Both my parents, especially my mom, she would go to Madison Square Garden once a month because they used to run the gardens once a month. And I used to tag. I was there to tag along, and we watched it every Saturday and Sunday at 12 o'clock. And I just grew up a Hulk Hogan fan. It's funny we brought his name up. I was a Hulk Hogan fan.
He'll come up again.
I was a Hulk Hogan fan growing up. Bret Hart, then Jeff Hardy, The Rock. Yeah, so I was always a big wrestling fan, and ever since when I knew that I had to get a job, like, okay, what are you going to do after high school? Usually you have to go to college or go to the Air Force, or what sports do you play? Like, I'm gonna be a wrestler. I used to get laughed at a lot, but I made my decision.
And this was what in New York is where you grew up?
Yeah, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, it's not a gimmick. I was born and raised Flatbush.
And so how did you go about starting to train? If you always wanted to be a wrestler, did you approach a wrestling school, or how did it all get started?
So it all got started. So right after high school, I was looking for wrestling schools, and I couldn't find any in New York, which was crazy. I don't know why I couldn't find any. Like later on down the line, everyone's telling me, you should have went to Mikey Rip Rap or this school there. Like I couldn't find it.
Johnny Rob.
But I went. Yeah, I heard so many different schools. Well, I'm glad I didn't go because I love the path that I've chosen. The first wrestling school I went to was in Charlotte, was in North Carolina, because I was a Hardy Boys fan, and I had family in Charlotte, and it was about an hour away from Charlotte. So I used to drive there once a week to train with a former professional wrestler by the name of he was a Thunderfoot. He was in a tag team called the Thunderfoots. He was his shoot name was Gene Ligon. Gene Ligon. Yeah, I trained with him for a few months. I got as far as I can with him, and then after I was going to a lot of independent shows, helping set the ring up, and I was just picking everybody's brain, and I kept hearing the name OVW. That's where you got to go. OVW. That's where I'm going, and blah blah blah. I'm like OVW. Then I did some homework on it, and I saw names like Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Randy Orton, Shelton Benjamin. I'm like, okay. And then I went back home to New York, and when I went back home to New York, what's his name? I was still a fan. I went to Survivor Series, and after Survivor Series, I went to WWE New York, the restaurant.
Right.
Yep,
And I bumped into what's that? The managers of the Umaga and his cousins tag team. 3 Minute Warning. What was the manager's name? Rico.
Oh yeah, Rico.
Okay.
Rico
Yeah,
Constantino.
bumped into Rico. Yeah, bumped into Rico. Picked his brain. He said, "Yeah, I came from OVW." I'm like, "That's it. That's like my third sign." It's like I keep getting signs of OVW. Like that's where I'm going. And I didn't want to move to Louisville, Kentucky, because I was a city kid. So I started taking the Greyhound bus from New York to Louisville, Kentucky every weekend. And
How
then
long was that? How long was that bus ride?
That was like a 16-hour bus ride every weekend.
You were going 16 there and 16 back every weekend?
For 2 hours of training. Yes, man. I was hungry. I wanted it.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
And you paid for
16
the training, right? And you paid for the training.
I mean, I definitely wasn't getting it for free. I didn't know anybody in the business.
How long did it last that you were going 16 and 16 just for one class?
Okay, so past the winter, because I had to I remember that the bus broke down twice on me because of the snow. So winter. When did I move? I think it was the fall. How long did I do that? I probably did that for 3-4 months.
Wow, that's insane, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that for 3 or 4 months, and then I eventually moved into one of the motels down there in Louisville until Shad gave me my first apartment.
So,
And what did you say? Oh, sorry, man. But what did you say? You just had enough of the drives. I'm just going to move down there for good.
It wasn't so much the Greyhound wasn't reliable. The bus kept breaking down. I was showing up late, and it's like I'm going all these hours to train, and then when I get there, I miss like an hour of practice. And then at the time, Nick Densmore, who the world knows him as Eugene, he was one of the head trainers there, and he was like, "Hey man, you got a lot of potential, but you're showing up to class late, and you're not ready. It's like you're gonna have to eventually move here. I know you're coming from New York, but how long do you think you could do that for?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I was just trying to avoid moving here," and then I eventually made the move.
So at what point did you go from trainee to someone who was hired to work for OVW?
It happened all so fast. It happened so fast. So I was in the contract class. The contract class in OVW was only for the contract talent, and they trained in the morning. I eventually got to the contract class. I wasn't under contract. I had to pay extra to be in that class because you'll be able to be seen with WWE contract talent. So that's where you wanted to be seen. Shad, everyone knows Shad Gaspard. He just finished running a championship segment with CM Punk. They had a feud going on, and then after that, they asked him, "Who did he want to pair you up with? Somebody." He was thinking about JTG. You like him? Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's my boy. We want to put you. That's what Paul Heyman asked him to put us in a tag team. So it was Paul Heyman's idea to put us in a tag team. And the next week, I made my OVW television debut. The week after that, I was a Southern Tag Team OVW champion. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, I had a WWE contract in front of me. just like that. It was just happening so quick because me and Shad were we were heels, but we were fan favorites. The fans loved us.
So who was it that offered you that contract that quickly? Did someone come and see you and say, hey, we want you right now?
So what happened was I was at work. I was working at Gold's Gym. I was working at the daycare center because I was dead broke and I had to go to the gym. So I got that free membership watching toddlers. So I opened up. It was in the morning, and then I got a phone call from a private number. I'm like, who the hell is calling me from private? I didn't pick up. I don't know, could have been an ex or something, I don't know. And then they called back again. It was Connecticut. I'm like, oh shit, it's Connecticut, 203. I picked up, and it was an assistant for John Laurinaitis. And I'm like, John Laurinaitis would like to speak with you. And I'm like, okay. I don't know if at first I don't know if it was a rib or not, because wrestlers always. It's not my first time getting a call from John Laurinaitis. Somebody messing with me. Because his voice is very imitatable. Right. Hey, how you doing, kid? Right. So he got on the phone. He's like, yeah, how would you like to work for the WWE? And I'm like, I guess, yeah. I'm like still trying to figure out if this is a joke or not.
Yeah, this is bullshit. Right? It's too good to be true.
Yeah, I don't want to fall for it. Yeah. Transfer me back to my assistant. Then we transferred me back. There was some the music that when you wait, right, while you're waiting. Like it was a callback music, like there was like waiting music, and it was like WWE themes. And I was like, oh, that's hard to prank somebody. That's like very like specific.
Right. That's what you do.
Do it all way, yeah.
Hey, weren't originally before it was you and Shad, you were teaming with Abraham Washington as like a form of your team?
Yes. Yeah, that was my original tag team partner. Yeah.
Were you guys Crime Time or no?
No. We were we called ourselves the Gang Stars. Like we were stars, but we added the gang in front of it. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, we just had the look of Crime Time, but we didn't have the persona yet. We had no persona.
What had happened? He stopped wrestling or something and left?
Yeah, he had a lot of personal issues going on, and he couldn't make it to practice anymore, and I was kind of like left solo.
Got it.
And that's why they decided to. They saw that Danny Davis and Rip Rogers. They saw a lot of potential in me, and they were like, we can't just leave this guy, this talent here by, let's just put him with someone else who's been up here longer, who has a lot more experience, seeing to get out of it.
I think that was the first ever thing I've known that you didn't know, Matt. Was that true? I don't think you knew that.
I did not know that. Hey, but let me ask you this: when you're talking to John Laurinaitis, is this when you get the pitch for Crime Time? Because I got to know what the fuck is Crime Time? Like, what is that?
Okay, so this is how I got my job. So it was kind of like an accident, kind of. So Shad and I were wrestling in OVW, and we were the tag team champions, and we were just winning matches. And Al Snow said one week, okay, this week we're not gonna have you wrestle. There's tons of ways to get over besides beating somebody or cheating to win. Why don't you guys do like a vignette? Putting your characters over. Like, what are you guys' characters? What do you put a vignette together? And we was like, oh, we can do whatever we want. He's like, have fun, do whatever you guys want. I gotta approve it first though, but yeah. So also gave us the okay, and Shad and I, we shot some vignettes, robbing a smoothie shop, beating up a park ranger, robbing somebody at the ATM, and we just had fun. And then we added the Rocky background music to at the end of it. And what I heard, how I got my job was the writers at WWE, they had to watch OVW television, so to see what talent's coming up, what the next talent is. And one of the writers were watching it, laughing, and Vince was passing by. And what are you guys laughing at? He was like, oh, these guys at OVW, they're hilarious. They just made some vignettes. They're the tag team champions. And Vince saw it. He laughed. He was like, well, hire him. He was like, well, the big one's hired. Well, hire the little one. And I got a job.
And so when Vince saw that was your ticket. That's why Laurinaitis called you, and Crime Time was a go at that point.
Yeah. So we pretty much came with Crime Time. They just gave us a platform to express it to millions of viewers.
Now, were you aware, that of course there was a disclaimer before your vignettes aired on WETV that said, "Tonight a new tag team, Crime Time, will be introduced to the Raw audience. In an effort to humor and entertain our fans, the team known as Crime Time will be parroting racial stereotypes. Shad and JTG do outlandish, outrageous stunts to ready themselves for tag action on Raw." Were you aware of how big a hot button this could be? The fact that you were parroting racial stereotypes as opposed to embracing racial stereotypes?
At the time, I was 21. I was young. To be honest, I didn't care. I care now, but at the time I was at OVW. I was there for years, and I couldn't wait to get out of developmental training and onto the main roster. So, it didn't even cross my mind. Like the first time I saw the vignettes after it was done, I remember I was at Madison Square Garden. It was in October. And they just started airing it, and I was watching it from behind the Titantron, and I was just listening to the fans' reaction, and they were laughing, they loved it, and I went with that. But I really didn't. I knew WWE was good at pushing the envelope, so I think that's what we were aiming for.
Yeah, and at 21 years old, it's like, yeah, dude, whatever they told me to do, I'm going to do it. I mean, at least that's what my mindset would have been at 21.
Yeah, I don't think I read that contract thoroughly at 21.
You just signed it when they handed it to you. You're wrestling
exactly.
for free.
Yeah, I think that era of tag teams is kind of underrated. It was you guys feuded with Cade and Murdoch and the Highlanders, and
Spirit Squad.
Yeah, and you guys came in against the Spirit Squad as fan favorites. What was that? And then of course with the World's Greatest Tag Team. What was your experience like with that tag team division at that point?
We had to learn fast. We had to learn quick, and wrestling with the World's Greatest Tag Team, Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch, we had to step up our psychology and in-ring abilities, because them guys brought it and they didn't have any sympathy. Like, we don't care if you was just in developmental. You're gonna have to adapt to our style, and we had to learn quick.
Did any guy, you came in pretty quick with a good push, and getting good crowd reactions and everything. Did any guys give you a hard time when you first got on the roster?
Absolutely. Shad and I got instant heat when we got on the road. We were young. We had a cool gimmick, and the fan loved us. And when you're young, you're just getting up there, and you're automatically getting pushed on TV. And there's been guys who've been waiting their whole career to get some TV time, and here we come, hot right off the press. Yeah, you're definitely gonna get heat.
Plus, I know Shad pretty well, and I would guess when he walked in, was he probably a little more comfortable than he should have been, right?
Oh yeah, he was. I was very humble, but Shad,
if you know Shad,
He said it. Yeah, I wrote a whole book about him. Yeah.
So, is it fair to say that looking back, you made some backstage faux pas and broke some unspoken rules? Looking back on it now, of the backstage area.
I was pretty hit to some of the to the backstage lingo and how to behave. We got heat. I'm gonna say 80% of it was Shad. I'm gonna throw him under the bus. Why not?
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And yeah, I made some stupid decisions, definitely. Some of it is I just didn't know I was green. I just didn't know. For example, I'll give you one example. So everyone knows, especially if you read my book, I'm a big Bret Hart fan. And on my phone, as one of my screensavers, I had Bret Hart on my screensaver. So I opened my phone up, and a particular superstar was like, "The hell are you doing?" And I'm like, "What? What happened?" He was like, "You're on the main roster now. You're a WWE superstar. You can't be a friggin' mark. Like, you don't like my screensaver? You don't like Bret?" He was like, "I love Bret, but you can't have that on you can't have nobody seeing that up there. If the wrong person sees that, you're gonna get heat. And he's like, you know better not to ask for autographs, or if you see somebody, you know you're part of us now. You can't be asking for autographs or pictures. Like, I know that, but I didn't know I couldn't have it as a screensaver. So I took it off immediately, put like a domino or something like that.
StopUsingYourHand.com. Now, of course, you know by now about our great sponsor, Pleasure Products USA. They are a huge supporter of Why It Ended, and also your online destination for innovative quality and affordable items geared towards men's sexual pleasure. As you know, or you probably should know, their signature product is the 3V Starlet Stroker. That's right, the 3V Starlet Stroker. It has an amazing, realistic internal texture, multiple vibration settings, and for the finishing maneuver, an actual voice of an adult film star is recorded to the device to make more than the crowd pop. Now, if you're not sure about all this, this is all very new to everybody. Now, if you're not sure about all this, and this is all new to you, check this out. You can try a free stroker. All you have to do is just pay the shipping and handling of $6.95. For just $6.95 shipping and handling, you can get a free stroker. All you gotta do is go to pleasureproductsusa.com/product/Josephine. That's Josephine, and enter the coupon code FISTBUMP. So whether you're gonna get the 3V Scarlet Stroker, or you just want to try out, or you just want to dip your toe in the water, so to speak, with this free stroker for only $6.95 shipping and handling, make sure to check out our good friends at StopUsingYourHand.com. Now remember, to get that free stroker, go to pleasureproductsusa.com/product/Josephine, and the coupon code is FISTBUMP. That's pretty funny. But you know what's not funny? Pleasure Products USA, StopUsingYourHand.com. Today. The Sellers Law Firm, LLC, is a law firm focusing on family law and criminal defense, while still providing a wide range of general legal services, from adoptions, child support, custody, divorce, and legitimation to DUI, traffic tickets, misdemeanors, and felonies. The Sellers Law Firm is here to help you.
As a proud member of the Griffin Downtown Council and several legal organizations, the Sellers Law Firm strives to serve the local...
You were on a roll.
Hold on.
You were on a roll, man.
I don't know what any of these words mean. So hold on. As a proud member of the Griffin Downtown Council and several legal organizations, the Sellers Law Firm strives to serve the local community while expanding its services throughout the state of Georgia.
Of course, if they can ever be of service, please let Judy, Bobby, or Jody know. That's what family is for.
Whether you find yourself in need of a lawyer now or whether you just want to ask a few questions, give them a call at 770-415-9848 at the Sellers Law Firm, where clients become family.
And you never know when you're going to need law services, so go ahead and follow Jody Sellers at Sellers Law Firm, SELLERS Law Firm. And they're also a sponsor of wrestling. Is that right, Robbie?
Yep, UCW Hometown Throwdown and Summerfest. They're sponsoring August 11th in Barnesville, Georgia.
Sellers Law Firm, LLC, where clients become family. Now, what was your experience like overall in that first run before you left the first time? Was it mostly a positive experience, a learning experience, or was there a lot of negative as well?
It's going to be both, but a majority of it was learning experience because I think it was also a big learning experience for Shad because I think the first run he was a little bit too comfortable, and the second time when we came back we were a little bit more humble. I was already humble, but I was humbled even more the second time around.
And you were in the middle of a feud with Cade and Murdoch when you guys were released the first time. That seems like a strange time to be released. What was the reason for you guys getting released? What were you told?
We got released because of a rib gone wrong. I talked about it in detail in my first book. They pulled a rib on us in the middle of a match, a live event, and we decided, they left the ring. they was insulting us on the way back to the dressing room backstage, and Shad and I were left in the ring, and Shad, he wanted to leave the crowd up, because they just cheated, they won, we were supposed to go over, and the crowd, it was kind of like it just felt awkward. So to get the crowd back, Shad decided to hit the finish on the ref. And when I rolled back into the ring, Shad had the ref on his shoulder, so I'm thinking it's cool. So I hit the ropes, hit our finish, got the crowd back up. Shad wanted to, sell the referee's belts to the crowd. He wanted to auction it off. I'm like, okay, that's a little extra, but okay, that's our gimmick though. So I guess that's cool. And we get backstage, Barry Windham, who was our agent at the time, I need to talk to you, Shad. And then I'm going along because we're a team. He's like, no, I don't need to talk to you. I need to talk to your partner. And I'm like, ooh, this can't be good. Shad gets his ear told off. Then John Cena rips us a new one. And then the next day, that's when we got called into a room by John Laurinaitis, and he didn't want to do it, but he let us go.
And were you like, was that completely unexpected, even though after you had you got yelled at?
It was definitely unexpected. I thought we were just going to get a big ass fine, like when we got in the room, because we got fined before, so I'm thinking, how much is it going to be? 10,
what did you get fined the first time for?
Because we went and got our hair braided and missed the show. Miscommunication, yeah, something dumb like that, yeah.
What, missed a live event?
No, it was an OVW. We had to do both at the time.
Oh, okay.
And also, and then we got fined for something else. Okay, we got fined a few times. I just can't think of it right off the top of my head right now. But yeah, as soon as they paid us, they'll take it right back.
So I'm a fan, so I'm a little bit naive to a lot of this. So what was the exact crime that you committed? The fact that you involved a referee without his knowledge, and that you took his belt?
That's what they told us.
And
yes, we bumped the ref without it was unprofessional.
And is that what Cena was yelling at you guys about?
Yes.
And so you were told by who that your contract was over, and what were you given any hope for returning at that point?
Absolutely. John Laurinaitis, he's the one who fired us. And right on the way out, we're leaving, Stephanie and Hunter were standing by the door. I don't know if it was a coincidence or they were there to tell us, like, hey, keep your head up, just keep your nose clean. The door is always open when the doors is always open. And at the time, and then they kind of like gave us that look like the door is always open. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're trying to tell me, but I just got fired. And then you're telling me I had to drive home. So like that was like really, like I was like I didn't read between the lines, but they pretty much told us that we were coming back. It was like pretty much like a punishment, and they had to set an example for the rest of the locker room.
How long were you actually on the main roster before you guys got released? Like a year?
I think a little over a year, yeah.
Your vignette debuted September 4th. You're released September 2nd. So it was almost exactly a year. What was the first thought that went through your head when that happened?
It was like, damn, I worked so hard. Like, I didn't even, like, the amount of years that I trained for didn't even exceed my years at the WWE. It was just like that. It was gone. My dreams, everything I worked for, for a stupid mistake.
Was your first thoughts like with each other, like, you know what, like, let's do indies together, let's try and go to TNA, or did you feel like you didn't want to wrestle anymore? What were you thinking?
I didn't want to think about wrestling at the time. I didn't. I didn't think about wrestling the whole time. I remember that we were close to. I was living in Louisville still at the time, and I remember that they, it was really humiliating that they had, we had to get escorted out of the arena because they thought we were gonna fuck shit up on the way out, and I had to drive home. Like 3-4 hours, and that was like the longest drive home in the world. Like, oh my gosh, like people were calling me, and I didn't want to pick up the phone. Like, yo, what happened? Is it true? I found out online. And I'm like, oh, Like it felt like the whole world was watching. But everything happens for a reason. We got paid for 3 months. Came back 3 months later. It was like a 6-month vacation.
So,
It was perfect.
how pissed off were you at Shad at the time? Did you give any consideration to be like, at any time you're like, all right, forget this, I'm going to be on my own. I'm going to try this on my own.
I didn't. That didn't cross my mind. I mean, I was pissed, but he did something in the meeting. I was like, wow, that's pretty admirable of you, Shad. During the meeting, when we got fired, Shad was like, oh, come on, Johnny, don't do that. And not Jay. He busted his ass to be here. I fucked up. Let him keep his job and fire me. I understand, but it's not Jay's fault. And I looked over him like, oh wow, I appreciate that, Shad. I mean, it didn't work, but I appreciate it.
Well, they took him up on that later, I think, but you guys did return. you guys did return eventually. Who was it? John Laurinaitis again who gave you the call and said you guys are back and don't fuck up?
Yeah. We got the call. John Laurinaitis called us, told us we want to debut you guys after WrestleMania. Just keep your noses clean, keep it quiet. We want it to be a surprise. Don't tell any of your friends or family yet. I'm like, you got it. You didn't say a word. My mom didn't even know. She was surprised. She was screaming and she was surprised when she saw me on Monday Night Raw the day after WrestleMania.
So you didn't wrestle once in your time off, like in those 6 months?
Yeah, we did. We did do. I think we did like maybe 2 or 3 independent shows. We did one in Jersey. Where else did we do?
So did you feel rusty though coming back, like at 6 months off, and did you train at all to prepare for your return?
Oh yeah, we definitely trained at Booker T's. That was one of the stipulations for us to come back. That we had to go to a wrestling school that they approved of, and we had to get the ring rust off and let them know that we were training and we were working on coming back. And we went to Booker T's in Houston because that's where Shad lived at the time.
And when you did come back, you started working right away with Cena actually, and working with Cena, but also at the same time taking on Cody Rhodes and DiBiase a little bit. What was it like working with those two young guys at the beginnings of their career?
I enjoyed working with Cody and Ted. We were all in the same age group. We meshed well. We had good chemistry. I had a great time working with them. And shit, I wish we could do it again. But I think Ted is definitely not. I think he's done with wrestling. Cody is doing his thing right now. We've been trying to pick a fight with Cody, but he's not responding. That's no fun. But yeah.
and you were drafted to SmackDown. Did you have a preference at that time? Was SmackDown a better show for you guys, or you prefer to be on Raw, or you didn't care?
Do you mean when me and Shad split, or
no, in 2009 when you guys were drafted together?
Oh, no, we didn't care. I think we were on Raw for so long that we didn't mind if we went to SmackDown. Change things up a little bit.
And when you guys first came back, was everyone kind of like watching what you did in the locker room to see like, all right, are these guys going to mess up again, or to watch how you're acting and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. We had the microscope on us, and we were definitely on the radar. We had to watch our P's and Q's. But again, that first time, it definitely humbled us. I'm not saying we didn't do anything stupid, but yeah, it definitely humbled us.
So what did you think the future would be at this point? Did you think you guys were going to go on to tag team championships or have a long run together? What did you think coming back?
When we came, I definitely thought we were going to get a tag team titleship run. I don't know. There's been so many times I've heard we were supposed to win it and something happened. Somebody said the wrong thing or did the wrong thing and they changed their mind. So it was like, my motto was as long as we were over with the fans and we got a reaction, we came out there, that's better than being a champion, because sometimes the champion comes out, the tag team champions come out and you don't hear anything.
Can you remember a particular time maybe that you were told you were going to become champs and then the plans were changed?
Oh, definitely. When we got fired, we were supposed to win the tag team titles from Lance Kidd and Trevor Murdoch. It was either in Africa or in the pay-per-view. there was a pay-per-view following with us working Lance Kid and Trevor Murdoch, and I think that's why they were upset. They had to lose to us.
And of course that would be upsetting. Trying to get the title and then being cut. But what about yourself? When you came back the second time, what were your personal goals when it came to wrestling? What was your dream? What did you see as the end game for you in the WWE?
I definitely had some things I had to do on my to-do list. I definitely wanted to be hold a title solo, especially the Intercontinental title. I definitely believe I had the charisma and the personality and the in-ring ability to hold that title. That never came into fruition. What else? Always wanted to be on the be on the card at WrestleMania. And that's pretty much it. Just those two things.
What was the reason that they decided to break you guys up?
I think Chad and I both wanted it. We were doing Crime Time for a bit, and I definitely wanted to had some solo ambitions. And then what
led to him getting released?
I think I don't know the story 100% on that. But he was sent down to, FCW. I guess they wanted him to work more as a big man, work on a big man style. And I don't know if he was improving or not. I really don't know. I was worried about myself. And then I just got the news that he got released.
And for yourself, did you feel when you broke up they were focusing more on Chad, or do you think you had a full shot to kind of run with the JTG thing?
I feel like I got a shot. I got a shot. I was running ideas by Vince a lot, and with the writers, because I definitely wanted to take off. I really believe that Vince saw a lot of potential in me. I think Vince liked me, my charisma and personality. I think that's what got me over a lot was my charisma with Vince. But some things were done, and I mentioned it in my book, so I don't want to give too much away. But yeah, there's definitely some things I did. I don't want to, no regrets, but there's definitely some things I did to go down a different path.
And at a point, you were a single and you were being used now and then you finally get your release. What were you told? When did it happen? And how did you feel at the time?
So to be honest, I was at home for almost a year. So I kind of felt that it was coming, or they were going to just let my contract run out. When I got released, I had 3 more months of my contract. So I didn't see it coming because I thought they was going to let my contract run out. I knew that I was either going to get released or I had my contract run out. But
throughout that time, were you pitching ideas throughout that time of different things to try and get you back in the mix?
While I was home for a year, absolutely not. No, I didn't. I kind of gave up at that time because I was pitching ideas and I was also seeing my ideas being used for other talent. So it's kind of nah, I'm not gonna keep doing this. So when I was home for a year, I didn't know I was gonna be home for a year. I kind of thought I was just on call. But I wound up being home for a year. My last match was with Santino Marella with the infamous Cobra Cell. If anybody saw that, if you guys saw that.
Yep.
Yeah, that was my last match. I went out with a bang, I might say, I have to say.
But you're just basically sitting by your phone waiting for a call for a year?
I wouldn't say I was waiting by my phone, but yeah, I was on call.
And did you give them a...
when I got the...
Oh, go ahead.
No, when I got the phone call, I was actually on vacation with the family. I was actually coming home from Trinidad, and I got a whole bunch of missed calls and from the office. I'm like, I wonder what the hell was going on. And then I was getting text messages like, "Don't pick up your phone." I'm like, what? And it was an LOL, and I'm like, what the fuck was that supposed to mean? And I found out some talent got released. I'm like, oh shit. And then when I finally got to Florida, I settled down, The plane landed. I saw the 203 number, and I was like, "Fuck it, let me just take the call. It's my time to go."
And that was pretty much it for you and the WWE. And before we get to what you're up to now, you'd mentioned Hulk Hogan earlier, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion of the entire Hulk Hogan thing and him being accepted back into the fold in WWE. How do you feel about the forgiveness?
Am I forgiving him for using the N-word, or am I forgiving him for admitting that he's a racist? For admitting that he is a racist? Which one am I forgiving him for? Because I can forgive him for using the N-word, make a mistake, whatever. But I can't forgive you for admitting that you're a racist. I'm not that dude. I'm not that forgiving. And a lot of talent, African American talent, share my same thoughts.
So the view is there's a different, and there's a lot of things, something that a white guy like myself doesn't see, that distinction between just using that word in a racial moment and admitting to being a racist and having qualities of being a racist and not owning up to that. That's really the distinction you make, and that you feel a lot of the talent also has.
Yeah, because in that meeting, they should have never brought up, be careful what you say, you never know what you're being recorded. It's like, what? It's like, that should be the last thing you bring up. Okay, we all know that, that we're in the limelight, that, you watch what you say, but you're saying an apology, you don't bring up, watch what you say while you're being recorded. You never know. You talk about being, using the N-word and saying that you admitted as being a racist. I don't even think he brought that up, that he admitted as being a racist. Like, that was kind of like swept under the rug that we were just supposed to forget.
And what about for you personally? Of course, I don't know what it's like to live a life, in a racial world in the same way you do. And having a guy like Hulk Hogan, who's someone you grew up cheering, when it's him, how did that hit you? Did it hit you in a personal way?
It definitely hit me in a personal way because, Hulk Hogan made me want to get into the wrestling business as a kid, as a 3-4-year-old. I bought a lot of merchandise, still have some of his merchandise. And then, when I see his picture, it's like, wow, I don't look at him the same at all. And I don't think he's done anything to rectify the situation of what he said and his actions. It's like, actions speak louder than words, and what he said and did, he hasn't done anything yet to make me feel any sort of way of forgiving him.
If you saw him, would you say anything to him?
Absolutely not. I have nothing to say to him.
Yeah.
Well, you had a lot to say to us today, and we really appreciate it, man. And of course, you're still out there. You're still wrestling. If people want to get a hold of you, how can people get a hold of you?
You can follow me on Twitter at JTG1284, Instagram at JTG121084. Those numbers are my birthday, so just don't forget, December 10th, 1984. You can read about my trials and tribulations and all my misadventures with Shad. The name of the book is Damn, Why Did I Write This Book? And the second one is called Damn, Why Did I Write This Book Too? You can find it on iTunes. There's also the audiobook, Amazon Kindle, Audible, the Play Store, Google Store, you name it.
And what about if people want to contact you for bookings or that kind of thing? Is that through your Twitter as well?
Yeah, through my Twitter and Instagram. Just shoot me a DM or shoot me a message, and I respond within 24 hours.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you very much, man, for doing this. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Well, there it was, Robbie. I didn't, for the first time, I didn't give a great intro, and I got called out on it. And but I thought it was a great interview, and what a crazy story and a crazy experience JTG had.
Yeah, super good, dude. I always heard great things about how nice of a guy he was. So it was kind of like I predicted. I mean, Shad's a great guy too, but he's just I knew their experiences. He was definitely the more comfortable guy, Shad, which might have led him to some of their heat. But yeah, man, it was just cool listening to the OVW days and then the 2 different WWE runs. And it's crazy how they got released, and it was just kind of like we have to do this to set an example kind of thing.
It's funny because we heard almost the same story with the Rockers, except the Rockers were let go after 1 day, but they were told, go ahead and hit the road for a little bit and, behave yourself and you'll be brought back. And they did get brought back a little bit, but it sounds like to me, if you read them between the lines, a lot didn't change, and they were let go as a result.
Yeah, and I wonder what would have happened if they never left. Like they said, they were supposed to get the tag titles. Would they have gotten them? I mean, who knows? They could still be huge stars in WWE today.
Without a doubt. And, one thing, that I kind of alluded to I thought was interesting was I always thought that Crime Time gimmick was peculiar. But from what he said, really the tone of it was set by them in those vignettes that they made.
Yeah, I mean, like he said, he was young. I'm probably around the same age as him. So, like, when they were on TV, I was young, too. So I never really thought too much into it. I just kind of had fun watching it. It's really just how you look at it. But, I mean, it was entertaining stuff.
For sure, for sure. And if you want more entertaining stuff, make sure to check out our YouTube at WhyItEnded.com. If you want to listen to us, you can go to WhyItEnded.com or iTunes. Make sure if you listen on iTunes to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and don't forget our Patreon, patreon.com/WhyItEnded, and we're going to start giving shout outs to all our awesome patrons. Robbie, what are you up to this weekend?
This weekend, Friday night will be at World of Hurt Wrestling in upstate New York, and then Saturday it's Northeast Wrestling for a huge show that's got too many big stars on it for me to name, but a lot of great talent on it. I know the Young Bucks and a bunch of people are there, but in Wappingers, New York, I believe it is, at Dutchess Stadium, it's going to be a huge show. And then also, you forgot to mention that we do have a Twitter and Instagram page at WhyItEnded. And yeah, just again, thank you guys for the Patreon love, because we're getting new people donating each week, which is awesome. We really appreciate it. And then, of course, Pro Wrestling Tees, get the RobbieE shirts, get the WhyItEnded shirts. And thank you guys.
For sure. And make sure to tune in to next week to Why It Ended with Robbie E.